Hello and welcome to this discussion in the wire. And the much awaited election results are coming right now. Almost 50% of the votes have already been counted, and the trends are pretty much clear now in all the four states and one union territory, Puducherry. And the results are along the expected lines, something which the exit polls predicted, although the scales have been different. But we'll not talk about the exit polls, and we'll talk about the factors which were in play. And we have with us right now correspondents from all the states. We have Snigdhendu from West Bengal, where Mamata Banerjee is on her way to win her third consecutive term and with a massive margin. We have Rajiv Ramachandran, where Pinarayi Vijayan of CPM is going to make a is going to win his almost historically in so many years in Kerala. There has hardly been any government which has come to power for the second successive term, but Pinarayi Vijayan is looking to achieve that feat. We'll talk about that, and we have YS Sangeeta Barua Pisharoti. She is in Assam right now, and the results are on expected lines. She had been reporting from there, though it was a close contest, the BJP always had an edge. We have Kavita Muralidharan, who has been reporting for the Wire from Tamil Nadu, and along the results are along expected lines. DMK was supposed to win definitely, and but there was a slight, but ADMK was not supposed to perform this well, despite
Right.
So we'll talk about the complications and what happened. So we'll start off with Sneak Dendu, because that's the story which is being like kind of in focus currently.
Guardian.
So Snigdhendu, Mamta Banerjee, her third consecutive term, we have been reporting on the ground, and we saw a surge of BJP, and yet we saw Mamta Banerjee um, winning in such a massive with such a massive margin. Her current trends show that Trinamool has actually increased its vote share from 43% to nearly 50%. So what do you think were the factors at play? Whether this whole the Mamta Banerjee was up against the whole BJP central leadership. There was substantial anti-incumbency on the ground, and yet we find voters voting almost comprehensively to make Mamta Banerjee win. So what are your first comments on this?
From the vote share, one thing is very clear, and also the details of the constituencies that we are seeing, that there has been two kinds of polarization. One is the anti-TMC polarization in favor of BJP. The other is anti-BJP polarization in favor of TMC. The Congress and the left, they have been wiped out. I mean, from Congress's strong bastions, the TMC has emerged with massive leads. People didn't trust any other party. Those who wanted the government to fall, they voted for BJP. Those who wanted this government to return to power voted overwhelmingly
So,
in
but
favor of
it
TMC.
seems that like a lot more people wanted this government to come to power, but on the ground there you could sense a strong anti-incumbency wave. So clearly it wasn't the anti-incumbency wave, but it was a pro Mamata wave kind of a situation where
No,
she's
as
on her way to winning more than 200 seats.
no, you will remember that we had earlier discussed that one of the reasons this election was difficult to call was that the number of silent voters. There was a huge number of silent voters, and we had also discussed that these silent voters, if they vote in a particular way, then that party could have a sweeping majority also. And we had also noticed that while in most cases the silent voters are usually from the opposition camp, this time we sensed that a large number of silent voters were also TMC voters who were not expressing themselves publicly because they also feared that the BJP might have a chance to win. I mean, we had previously written about the mind game that was going on in Bengal. The battle of perception. So, in that battle of perception, the BJP had, especially with Modi and Amit Shah becoming what TMC called Delhi passengers to Bengal, and you can take 12 cabinet ministers, you take 6 chief ministers, you take MPs, you take MLAs from all other states, Manoj Tiwari, Kapil Mishra, they were spending months here, weeks here, in the towns, in the suburbs. All those lodging facilities were booked by BJP leaders who had come from other states. So, in that immense propaganda battle, a large section of TMC voters had remained silent
Mm.
because
Yeah.
fearing in case.
Which was kind of unusual, because in Bengal historically we have seen that the silent voters have generally voted against the incumbent voters, and if they are supporters
Yes,
of the
but
government, they
that
might
this
vote.
but
But this time it
but
was a little different. I'll come back to
yes,
you, Snigdhendu. But yeah, hi Rajiv. You have been reporting for us, and you have closely followed how the campaign in Kerala had unfolded. And what, according to you, are the 2 or 3 factors that secured Pinarayi Vijayan and the left Democratic Front, its first successive victory in Kerala?
As of now, on the screen before me, we are. I'm watching. It's 97 seats for the LDF
Oh,
and
that's huge, yeah.
43 for the UDF, and significantly, it's a big nod for the NDA. They had in the form of O. Rajagopal from Nemam. This time in Nemam, the CPM candidate V. Shivankuti is leading with a comfortable, we can say it comfortable, with only one round left of around 2,500 roads leading. So the significant thing happened in Kerala is that the NDA has drawn blank this
Has drawn
time.
a blank, yes.
Yeah, they were expecting to have 5 to 7 seats. Their leaders were very vocal about they winning about 35, 40 seats, but it was highly improbable. But the thing was,
Then it
there
was at
was
least
sense of
expected to win at least a couple of seats, which they are not. Even I think E. Sridharan,
yeah,
who
they
was
were
the chief minister,
they were
he has
leading
also lost the
Palakkad.
Palakkad election. Yeah, already lost, right?
Yeah, actually, from the beginning of the count, now it has become 98 and 42. Uh, the figures are
Figures. Yeah,
changing in front
they're
of me.
constantly updating. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing is, the NDA was hoping to win at least 3 seats this time. Palakkad,
Yeah.
Nemam,
No, but
and
what
Kazhakootam were
according
their
to
firebrand
you
leaders.
was the chief minister or the Left Democratic Front's appeal this time? Generally,
As
he
of now,
has
we
bucked
can
the
see
trend.
that there was a yeah. As of now, we can clearly say that there has been a clear consolidation of the minority votes, especially the Muslim votes, in favor of the
In
LDF.
favor of them. And there was a
They,
crucial
yeah,
factor
yeah.
with the coming of the defection of Kerala Congress money from the
Yeah,
UTF
yeah.
to the LDF. So
That
that might have consolidated the Christian community votes in favor of LDF too. What do you think on that?
we need to get the exact figures for that sort of conclusion. But the thing is, in central Kerala, which is normally is a stronghold of the UDF and the Congress, has shown a slight shift in favor of the LDF. Even
LDF.
though the Kerala Congress has aligned with the LDF, their leader Jose K. Mani has lost his seat in Pala.
But how have been the margins? Are the margins of LDF victory comprehensive
Actually,
enough to?
we are yet to get the figures yet. But the thing is, Pinarayi Vijayan, KK Shailaja, the expected figures of the Left Democratic Front is winning with huge margins. I guess
Yes,
Pinarayi Vijayan is all set to create a record in the margin of victory in Kerala. I'm not
in
very
Kerala.
sure about that. at
So
this
central
point of
Kerala
time,
and
but
northern
we are here.
Kerala is where the LDF has got its most number of seats.
Yeah, actually, looking the figures in front of me right now, actually we can clearly say that the LDF has fared equally in all
In
across
all
the
regions
state.
of the state.
Be it,
Okay, I'll come
yeah,
back
be
to
it
you.
the south,
Uh,
central, and now.
okay, we have Kavita from Tamil Nadu. Kavita, DMK was always projected to win. Many of the exit polls also said that they could win with almost an absolute majority, but that did not happen. ADMK was fighting two-term anti-incumbency, and yet DMK could not. So, what do you think was this relative? DMK was supposed to win, but it doesn't sound as comprehensive as it was expected.
No, I think now the DMK has managed to secure single majority. It's trending. It's leading in 122 seats. We need 118 for simple majority.
Hmm.
So the DMK will still emerge as a single largest
So
party.
there were a lot of talks whether DMK
Right,
would
right,
cross
right.
180,
Most
190
of us were
seats or not.
expecting the DMK to sweep because all the factors were in favor of them. But I think lots of factors also played a major role. Like, see, I think in this election, the ADMK, at least Edapadi Panisamy, the present chief minister of the ADMK, the outgoing chief minister of the ADMK, he has clearly established his leadership, and that in a way settles the leadership question of the ADMK since
ADS.
Jayalalitha's
So
few months.
Shashikala and OPS, they are
Right.
out of
There were two possibilities. Let me explain. So either Shashikala, Dinakaran, along with O Pannirselvam, would have taken over the party. And there was, if the ADMK was completely decimated and all, there was this possibility of BJP also exerting its influence over the ADMK and positioning itself as the de facto opposition party. So neither of that has now, neither of these is going to happen now. Edapadi Panisamy is most likely to sit as the opposition leader. So in a way, I think it's kind of better because you also need a proper regional opposition, which has happened to the ADMK. So I think the DMK is also comfortably winning. I mean, they are not sweeping the elections as most of us expected to happen, but they are heading towards a comfortable majority.
So one thing I would like to ask is also whether the decision of AIADMK to ally with the center and the national party like BJP, did it work for them or did it actually not work for them?
See, whatever has worked for the ADMK is the fact that ADMK is a regional party with some tradition. I don't think, of course, many of us still think that alliance with the BJP has dented their possibilities. If only the BJP was not in their alliance, and if they had included DMDK, it could have made a better difference. So that's the BJP is leading in 3 or 4 constituencies, but I still don't think the BJP is really making its mark in Tamil Nadu.
And they may not also eventually win those seats in the final.
Right? Yeah. Even if they win, even assuming that they win
one crucial trend which I, as an observer from Delhi, generally find that in every successive election there are single caste parties like DMK, which is a Banyar based party. They continue to do well, and this time as an ally of the ADMK, it has again performed very well in northern parts of Tamil Nadu. So do you think that even with elections happening, these kind of single caste parties continue to retain their strongholds, and irrespective of whether there's anti-incumbency or not?
I think for the PMK, it's kind of come back because they've not been doing well in the last few elections. They were not able to win in the Lok Sabha election, for instance. So for them, for the PMK, it's kind of come back. I think they are leading in 6 seats now of the 23 that they contested. So they are leading in 6 seats. They are leading. It's kind of come back. It also points to a caste-based consolidation in some parts in the northern districts and in the western Tamil Nadu. There has been some caste-based consolidation which has worked in the favor of the ADMK. So there are many factors which has actually helped ADMK emerge a strong opposition rather than what we had expected.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Sangeeta. So Assam, it was supposed to be a close contest with an edge to the BJP, but it looks like the BJP is on its way to form a comprehensive as in like a good score, almost repeating its 2016 performance. So, what are your first comments? Why do you think that BJP? I'll come to the leadership question, but why do you think that BJP could again, again come to power despite Congress having a formidable alliance with AIUDF and in lower Assam?
Thank you, Joy. Yeah, it's strange to be actually talking about elections at a time when, half the country is really through,
Yes.
pandemic, and we know for sure that many of the things that people are undergoing is not because of only the pandemic, but bad governance. So, but still, as journalists, we need to also talk about today, where on to elections in one union territory. Coming to your question, see, it is not it was also, Congress was also playing it up as a kind of an equal fight. But when we had gone onto the ground, it was all very clear that, where the wind was blowing. There are a couple of reasons for that. One reason, of course, is like it happens in most northeastern states. Whenever there is a political party which is in power in Delhi, which has a very strong edge in any Northeast elections. And so this time it is BJP, and last time also it was BJP. So there's nothing to be surprised about, really. And coming to other factors which we saw on the ground was the which I say often about BJP doing this beneficiary politics. They have the Jan Dhan accounts, and then they put some amount of money on either on a monthly basis, on a 3-monthly basis, through some random schemes, which nobody knows that's going to continue for forever, or till only the government is that particular there. So so there are a lot of schemes, like Arunodaya scheme is a very popular scheme where married women get about 700 rupees per month in their accounts. And so that became very popular. So there is also another scheme which is mentioned. These kind of things, have really today what we see in the trends. No result has been declared yet, but the trends are very strong with BJP alliance. And we can very well see that these schemes have really worked. And particularly, post demonetization, people, particularly the lower rung, had got to touch very few notes, and in unlike, say, in UP and Bihar and all, the out-migration had been happening for decades together, but not so in Assam. But in the last, say, 1 decade or so, 1.5 decades or so, there have been no jobs. The unemployment rate has been really high. So people have been going out to different mainland cities to do small jobs, like, say, work in a mall or a restaurant, that kind of small companies. So many of them had to come back post demonetization. And then continuously, the economy has been not doing well. And then came the lockdown. So a lot of young people who were in different parts of the country had to come back and seek for jobs. And many of them still haven't found anything. So if a small amount of money comes to every household, it really matters. So I have heard a lot of people tell me in villages and in small towns that we are really worried that if this government goes, we don't whether we will be able to get this money again. So they wanted that money to continue. So that is something which I see now in today's trends.
It's basically what even if take into account all the 4 states, there are 2 trends which are like coming out clearly. One is that the voters have a certain kind of preference for strong leaders. Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, Pinarayi Vijayan, strong and decisive leaders mostly. And in Kerala, even like Himanto is seen as a much bigger figure than any of the leaders in Assam. And similarly with this was the first time when Tamil Nadu was fighting an election without Jayalalitha or Karunanidhi. So there was no film industry impact this time, but Stalin was projected as a decisive leader, as while ADMK, which lost, was dealing with the whole leadership question. And the second factor that it comes to my mind is also that anyone who's seen as a welfare delivery, as performing better on the welfare delivery front, is also winning. You were talking about BJP government giving all these populist welfare measures. Mamta also had a very good record of giving welfare deliveries. Pinarayi also had a very good record of managing the floods initially and then COVID, and was seen as always on the ball. ADMK's good performance, like relatively better performance than expected, was also is being credited to E. Palaniswamy's good COVID management. So Snigdhendu, if right now it's 3 o'clock, and I think the trends are more or less should remain the same. More or less, I think there are 27 rounds to be counted this time. So I had how many rounds have already been completed? 10 to 15 rounds in every
No,
constituency. I hear some of the
the
results have also
no,
already been declared.
the rounds vary from 17 to 30. Like
30.
Nandigram has 17 and 12 rounds have been over. After the 12th round, Mamata Banerjee was leading by over 4,000 votes.
Yes.
So in Nandigram, there are 5 more rounds
So
left.
on an
But there are
average,
constituencies
there's 17 to 30 rounds, and
17 to 30 rounds. And on
depend.
an average, I mean, 10 to 15 rounds have been counted, and in
So
some
can we
a
safely
few
say
seats have
that
been
the
declared.
trend should remain the same?
This trend can't change. I mean,
These
not
trends
by
can
much.
change. Okay, yeah.
Not by
So,
much.
yeah. So in so right now with there was one crucial question that many of us were discussing during the campaign, was this 8 phase election during the time of a pandemic, and right now, and the Trinamool kept blaming the ECI for being partial. So now the Trinamool leadership has already started speaking about the election commission's selective approach towards one party. So, what do you have to say about that? And but whether in the long run, do you also think that Trinamool also got enough time because of this long drawn process to consolidate its own vote share and fight the 10-year-old anti-incumbency?
No, if this prolonged election helped any party, that is BJP,
Yeah.
because I mean, the entire election they were fighting based on leaders from outside. There were in Bengal, if we look at a popular BJP leader, they have only one. Dilip Ghosh has popularity, despite all what he says.
Mm.
He has his own brand of popularity. But otherwise, there is no mass leader of the BJP in this state.
So, so this clear, this Didi in front of all the central leadership, the leadership
Yes,
question in
yes,
front of
yes.
people was clear that Didi is the leader of Bengal,
That
and that
Didi
is
is
what
the
the man.
that when it comes to running the state, it's Mamata Banerjee to
Yes,
depend on.
Mamta Bed.
And you see, there is another thing. I mean, this if Mamata Banerjee claiming herself to be a Brahmin, playing out her Brahmin identity, going to temples, offering pujas, if that somehow reflects a victory of BJP, that they made Mamata Banerjee to change her overtures, religious overtures, communal overtures, then Mamata Banerjee's biggest victory was BJP's poll promise itself.
Mhm.
If you look at what BJP promised for Bengal, BJP has not promised for this for no other state in this country. No
Mm.
other state.
But there were ground
2
level
lakh
equations when
rupee
we're
for
talking about.
every girl child when they turn 18.
Hmm. No, the BJP was also
So
associated
BJP, yeah,
with the promise of employment. While BJP also took on this whole campaign of TMC's corruption, misrule, and high-handedness, authoritarian nature, and clearly none of that campaign worked. and the TMC's welfare model had a greater spark among voters than TMC. But undoubtedly, uh, the left has been completely demolished, and unlike 2019, where the left votes substantially shifted to the BJP, this time it looks like that left vote they could retain somewhat, and much of that also shifted to the TMC. So the BJ in
Yes,
that
yes.
sense, in that sense, BJP is now clearly the main opposition force in Bengal. So, do you think that in times to come there will be some kind of change in the nature of Bengal polity?
Nature of Bengal politics has changed
Yeah.
since 2014.
Hmm.
And it is going to see Mamata Banerjee since 2011 has captured the left space.
Hmm.
If you look at her government's policies, it has been even more welfare oriented than the left front government. If we look
Hmm.
at the budgets of the state government since 2011, the amount the government spent in social welfare schemes or social security schemes is nearly 8 to 9 times higher than that what was in 2011. And despite this huge expenditure in social sector, the TMC has managed to reduce the state's debt burden in these 10 years. It was 40, the debt GDP ratio for the state was over 40% in 2011. And 2018, it was brought down to 34%. Despite that, a survey of CRISIL of the state budgets of all states revealed last year that in 2018 and 2019, the West Bengal government spent the highest share of its total expenditure in the social welfare and social security sectors.
Okay.
So, of course, this have
So these
paid
are the
off,
factors that
and we
worked. Yeah. So, Rajiv, there was this coming back to the leadership question where Pinarayi Vijayan was seen as a captain this time, and on the other hand, the opposition UDF was dealing with the leadership question again, where Ramesh Chanitala, Uman Chandy, there was Chaco who left. So, did this in any way hurt UDF's prospects?
Actually, we can't say so. The UDS only this was the time the left was seeking votes for the positivity. I can say that
Was
this is the first time
hmm.
the Kerala voted positively. If we can say, the history of Kerala's electoral politics usually revolves around the negative voting of against the incumbent government. This time it didn't happen. There was hardly any anti-incumbency factor that we can see. This time the Kerala polity voted for a what did they say, the positive kind of thing
Much was
is
said
wrong.
about that
Yeah,
gold smuggling case.
yeah, yeah.
So why? So it did not have any impact on the ground.
It has zero impact. Pinarayi Vijayan had to face two elections after that gold smuggling case come into the fore. And there was a local body election which the left swept across the state. The left is ruling 13 out of the 14 district councils now.
Yeah.
And now the assembly election. Now the assembly elections we can see last time they won 91 and they better to 93.
Hmm. So, no, no,
During
but
the Raja,
in both Bengal and Kerala, there's a trend that people vote in
in favor of the
differently
government.
in favor of the government in the assembly elections, but also in during the parliamentary elections, they
Yeah,
have some
yeah, yeah, yeah.
strategies in mind
Yeah,
where they are choosing.
the polity is highly politicized.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it says a little more about the political consciousness levels of
yeah, and,
the voters of
and
both the states, Kerala and West Bengal. So
yeah,
in that regard, Kavita, so Tamil Nadu generally has how it voted in parliamentary elections. It's almost similar in the assembly elections. So, right now, the kind of trends that you see. So, what are the two or three factors that you will weigh in for the results that is shaping up right now in Tamil Nadu?
I think the DMK is headed for a clear majority. They don't have to depend on even the alliance partners to form the government. They are leading to 118 seats. So
Yes.
that is one. But yeah, but they have not
They were
been
contesting in 173 seats, right?
73, yes.
Yes.
And they are not sweeping as many of us had expected. That I think, because I think the ground level work done by the ADMK one, and I still think the Tamil Nadu people have decisively rejected the BJP. This is not the first time the BJP is going to. I mean, even if we like taking into account that they are leading in 3 or 4 seats, and they might win those 3 or 4 seats. Even then, this is not the first time the BJP is going into the state assembly. They've already done in 2002. But this vote, I don't think, is for the BJP. Whatever the ADMK had gained, it clearly establishes the leadership of the Edappadi Palaniswamy, and it's a vote for the ADMK. So the ADMK is a strong opposition. It's emerged as a strong opposition. That I think is a very important outcome of this election. There has been caste consolidation and polarization in some parts of the state, especially in the north and west, which has helped the ADMK. Only when the figures are more clearer, I'll be able to say whether the Naam Tamizhar and Makkal Needhi Mayyam of Kamal Hassan's Makkal Needhi Mayyam has had any impact or on the votes, or how decisively they have split the votes. Those things I think we need to wait and
Kamal Hassan
watch.
himself is winning from Coimbatore South, right?
Kamal
Was
Hassan is the
leading at
only
one point.
candidate from his party. Yes, he was leading at one point. So
Right.
he was contesting against BJP senior leader. I think she's a Mahila Morcha president, Vanati Srinivasan. So he is leading at. It was a three-cornered contest with Congress, BJP, and Kamal Hassan. So he is presently leading there. We are not sure what's going to happen there.
What's going to happen? And about, like, if I come to, like, how do you see the Pondicherry, the NR Congress, which is an ally
I think
of
it is much on the expected lines.
Line.
NR Congress, yeah, much on the expected lines. NR Congress is very popular there, so they've established a clear lead. I need to kind of wait and watch how the BJP will play it out in the future. Now they will claim that they have
But was
kind
there
of gotten some approval.
Could you sense any anti-incumbency against the V. Narayanasamy government, which led people to go to NR Congress? They were both, I think, partners, and they split, right?
Yes. I guess so. I guess there is some anti-incumbency which played a huge role there, and also the fact that NR Congress is popular there and is.
But there was a long drawn tussle, like we see in Delhi, between Aam Aadmi Party and the LG. We saw a similar tussle in
right.
also between Kiran Bedi and V. Narayanasamy.
Yeah.
So this NR Congress.
Kiran Bedi and that's why I think if Kiran Bedi had continued, I think it would have not gone well for that particular alliance, for the NR Congress BJP alliance. It would have not worked well. That is why they made sure that Kiran Bedi was out of their way, because she was taking law into her hands and she was doing lots of things against the Narayanasamy government. And Narayanasamy had gone on protest officially demanding the removal of Kiran Bedi. So at some point he was gaining support from the masses. So I think it was a very clever move to have her removed from there.
And also the people, I think, wanted to have a better kind of an equation between the LG and the chief minister, especially with such a center which is hell-bent on here in Delhi. The Arvind Kejriwal government has not been given any power even during the COVID time when they are watching. So something like people want a much more peaceful kind of an political environment rather than a constant conflictual kind of a situation. Sangeeta, so generally we'll end with Assam. This whole Congress AIUDF, do you see it working in lower Assam? And this whole theory that is being mooted around, that the whole Muslim consolidation behind the opposition led to a counter polarization, which led the Hindus and of Upper Assam consolidate in favor of BJP. Do you see any merit in this kind of?
I would say it has worked. I mean, like that's true to an extent, because today when you see the results, when you talk about the Congress-led alliance, which is Mahajot, only AIUDF has worked, has actually succeeded in coming closer to it 2016 now. Okay, which is say not 2016. I mean, I'm talking about 19 seats it has contested. But the trends are showing that they will be able to perhaps hold on 14 seats. But when it comes to, say, Congress, the typical performance in 2016, it contested 122 seats and got only 26. But right now, in this election, it contested 94 seats, but it has been able to get its, most probably going to win only about 30 to 32 seats. Okay, so Congress is also so where are they losing the seats? They're losing the seats in Upper Assam. And so that I feel that really worked in favor of the BJP, this alliance of AIUDF and Congress come together. But on the other hand, that has helped the AIUDF consolidate its vote in the sense that it could get the Congress votes also and win a lot of seats. So, and the other major alliance partners of of Congress was the BPF, the Boro People's Front, which was still recently with the BJP and was the earlier government also. But that BPF had been actually not, it had really let down the alliance in the sense that it was contesting in 12 seats. It won 12 seats in the 2016 polls. But right now, what I see in front of my TV is that they are just, this is like what, I mean, nearly it's 3 o'clock. And then we see it showing, good trends, trending in only 3 seats. So,
So the BPF was one of the
letdown. That's a huge
letdown for the opposition.
For the Congress, because it right now Congress and the alliance are about 47 plus. But if it would have, BPF would have helped it, it would have perhaps been able to give a close fight to the BJP. But another point I want to quickly state is that this election will also be very important in the sense that for BJP to see whether it will be able to not only retain the 60 seats that it had got in 2016. It was a major win for BJP in that state the first time. And so whether it will be able to keep those 60 seats, or if at all it will be able to cross that limit. So if it does that, suppose it gets 64 seats on its own, so then that's a huge red alert for the other smaller parties, other two alliance partners, which are regional parties, AGP and the UPPL. So so that is something I am actually eagerly
they
waiting.
will be reduced to almost non-entities in the ruling alliance, and they have BJP has in the last term also we saw BJP kind of giving them a very hard time. AGP had also walked out of the alliance and then rejoined it. So we may have to see similar scenarios in the next term.
Yeah, this will be really very interesting for regional politics in
ഒരു
Assam.
ഫോട്ടോ എടുക്കുക
And coming
സ്ക്രീൻഷോട്ട്
quickly to your question
screenshot
about,
എടുക്കുക,
you
100
pointed out already about the leadership, strong leadership. You are correct actually, because Himanto, and not so much Sonowal, but Himanto leads from the front. But when it came to the Congress this time, it could have perhaps declared Gaurav Gogoi as the chief minister, or some other tall leader from this. They have a couple of them. They're very good leaders. So maybe somebody is projected as the chief ministerial candidate, but they didn't do it this time. So it actually, the campaign which began in Assam, which was spearheaded by the Chhattisgarh chief minister, Bhupesh Baghel. Very impressive at the beginning, but it couldn't sustain till the end. But the BJP campaign it started later, but it could sustain till the end. Even in terms of hoardings, we saw new hoardings, new slogans till the end. But this was not seen.
Congress, as usual, has
it looked like it got tired a bit, after some time. got good press in the beginning. We all got very excited. We were seeing that this is very interesting, but it just couldn't sustain it.
In the meantime, we're getting
Ajay,
information
another
that
thing I need to
LDF in Kerala has already touched 100 seats. TMC there has already
yes.
crossed the 200 mark. And as yeah, what were you saying?
Ajay, I just wanted to quickly mention also, because this is also a crucial election for peasant leader Akhil Gogoi.
Yeah, I was about to come to this. How has been his
December
party's performance in
2019,
his own
and it looks like that he's going to win this election. So, and he has successful, I think, in getting a good amount of sympathy votes in Sivsagar district. Sivsagar is the Congress area. So his main contestant, he would have the contender there, of course, was it was a Congress seat, so he managed to that. So that is something, one good thing that has come out of this election is perhaps this, and so that's it.
Okay. So
And
I
now
think yeah.
in front of my TV, I see this big flash showing that Mamata Banerjee has won from Nandigram.
Yeah, has won, right? Yeah. So yeah, she was supposed to win in the later phases of counting, but yet, finally, Sangeeta, do you see a leadership tussle in the BJP between Sarvanand Sonowal and Himanto in the days to come?
It is. This question is going to come up. From tonight onwards, it's going to come up, and Himanto is going to not relent very easily. At the end, it may be Sonowal, but
He's the home face of
no chief ministerial face has been presented to the voters, and the man at the front, leading from the front, is Himanto. And there are of course two camps in Assam BJP, Himanto camp and Sonowal camp. When you talk to the Himanto camp, they said that Dada will this time really seriously stake claim to become the chief minister. So let's see, it will be clear in a day or two.
So right now the trends are almost have already been established, and these are likely to remain the same. And but we will keep once at around 5:30 we'll have another discussion and see what are when we have more concrete trends in front of us. But more or less the results are likely to remain the same, and it is a huge victory for Mamata Banerjee, who's becoming the third time incumbent chief minister. Pinarayi Vijayan, a historic win again for the first time in Kerala, where he's repeating his success. DMK, again a very good win, and in fact, and even like the Tamil Nadu has given a message against national parties, and yet empowering both the regional parties, as Kavita said. And in Assam, it's a complicated situation, and BJP retains its stronghold, but as you said, the regional parties will have a good amount of play in the days to come, and something that needs to be watched. Thank you very much for logging into The Wire. We'll keep bringing you updates, and thanks all of you for coming.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.